So you've just taken delivery of your new Solar E-Clipse 2.0. I'm sure you're super hyped about getting it set up and ready to go. Well, don't worry, because today I will be showing you how to properly unbox and build your new pride and joy. So let's just pause and rewind to the beginning and get things going. A few things you'll need for this project: a stand, a buddy, and a plucky attitude, because you've just got yourself a new e-bike.
Dude, don't call us plucky. We don't know what it means. All right.
Once you've removed all the outer packaging, you want to get your buddy and just lift off the top outer shell to reveal the bike and all the bits and pieces underneath. You want to set this to one side, and also all the other little boxes that you find in there as well. Just set this all to one side where you can easily reach them, and then we can begin with the build of the bike. So you can see Matt just removing all the bubble wrap here, being very careful not to damage anything. And then I'm just carefully getting the scissors and just cutting around some of the handlebar pieces. Then you want to undo this ratchet strap, which is basically going to relieve the tension of the suspension of the bike. And then you want to undo these screws that Matt's just doing now. One on the right, one on the left. And then what you want to do is, with the toolkit provided, just undo these screws slightly. And what this is going to do is alleviate the pressure that's clamping down on the pin that we're going to remove next. So you can see he's just loosening those bolts to set that free. Then you want to get someone to lift the weight of the bike up just slightly, so you can remove this pin that you can see here. Might be a little bit tight, but with a little bit of force, a little bit of pressure, you can get it out. Next up, we're going to do the suspension. So what you want to do is just undo this pin that will be in the mounting point. Remove that and put that to one side. And you just want to get someone to lift the back end of the bike just so the suspension slots into that arm, and then you can slot that pin back in and do that up nice and tight. You can just do it with your hand for now. Later on in the video, we'll go over all the nuts and bolts and make sure everything's nice and tight. Next up, you want to lift the bike out of the pallet and onto that stand that we spoke about earlier. Do be careful here, make sure the bike is secure and make sure it doesn't fall either way. It's always best to have someone just on hand ready to catch it if it does fall, or have someone hold it the whole time if possible. Starting with the front wheel, we're going to get that out of the box like Matt's doing here. Again, being very careful with the scissors not to damage anything inside. Once that's out, you can go ahead and take these parts off the bike. These are going to be inserted into the wheel, which helps it marry up to the bike and that pin that we just took off earlier. So you can see it splits into two, and you can see how they go into the wheel here. So they don't actually screw in, but he's just screwing them in just so they actually fall into that hole, and you can see how they fit in there. Just make sure they're nice and firm. And then once they're in, you can go ahead and take the bits of packaging off the brake caliper. And you want to make sure you take the brake block out before you install the wheel, like Matt's doing here. Just this little bit of plastic. And then once that's out, you can roll the wheel into position, making sure that the disc fits into the caliper. Like he's doing now, just making sure everything fits each side. And you can take your time with this. And then when you're ready, you can get that pin, and it should go all the way through the wheel to the other side, where you can tighten things up again. And it should look something like this. So on the other side, just fasten it up with that washer. And then you can remove the stand, and it should be able to put the stand down now on the bike and just let it freestand. So you just want to go ahead and tighten these bits up. Again, you don't want to over tighten anything, that's very important. We're just making sure it's firm and secure for now, and we will go over these again later on in the video. Next up, you want to make sure that you tighten down these clamps that we loosened up earlier. Now with these, it's very important that you tighten one, not as much as you can, but fairly tight. Then go to the other one like Matt's doing now. And again, tighten that up. And then you want to flip back to the one that you just tightened, and then back again, and then back again, just to make sure everything is nice and firm. And obviously make sure you do this on both sides as well, like Matt's doing now. Next up, you want to go ahead and tighten the suspension mount like he's doing now. Again, not over tightening this, we're just making sure that it's firm and secure for now. So you can go ahead on the stem, you can take these 4 bolts out. This is where we're going to mount the light and the handlebars and the LED screen as well. So go ahead and take these out, put them to one side, make sure to remove any of these wires that are holding up the lighting assembly. And then it should marry up like so. So the screen and the light first, and then the handlebars on top, sort of sandwiches together like you can see Matt doing now. And then what you want to do is go to the front and take out this 1 bolt before you screw anything else in. So undo that, marry it up with the hole, and then screw that back in so that holds it into place. And then all they're doing now is putting the instruments on the left hand side. So it's the brake on first. And just tighten that up slightly. And you can see he's pointing out a hole there. That is where this new module is going to lock into. So right now he's just unscrewing it to loosen it up to marry it up to the handlebars like so. And then you'll see it hovers directly over that hole that's on the handlebars. And that is where one of the screws actually falls into. So there's no wrong way to do this. Again, he's just tightening everything up, making sure everything is where he wants it. And then he's going ahead and putting those 4 screws back into place on the main assembly. Putting the grips on, making sure they're nice and tight. Like so. And then you should find this bag in one of the boxes. This is everything to do with the assembly of the front fender. So what you can see is we've put the 3 bolts in the frame like so, all facing down. And then the fender just should marry up to it like this. And then what you want to do is get a washer, one of the nuts, and fasten that into the first one, and then repeat this process for the other 2. You should find this black washer as well. That goes into the middle part here, just to hide that up and make it look nice. Now what we're going to do is open up the battery housing. So you want to get one of your Allen keys and just undo these 3 bolts. And that should unlock the door for us to activate the battery for the first time. So there's a big orange electrical cable with your plug end. Just plug that into the bike until you hear a click. Shut the door and put in all the bolts again. And then what you want to do is get your key, which should be hanging on the handlebars, and then double click the lightning symbol. And if everything's gone well, the bike should turn on. You should see the user interface on the display. And congratulations, you have just set up your Solar E-Clipse 2.0.